Welcome to the next segment of the Wedding Planning Inspiration Series. My name is Lisa Powers, producer of the Western New England Bridal Shows and co-publisher of the Wedding Day Sourcebook. As a producer of the Western New England Bridal Shows, I always look forward to working with amazing wedding professionals, connecting with wonderful couples with these great people and businesses, and presenting the best of what our area has to offer for weddings and celebrations. Unfortunately, current guidelines and restrictions are still in play as COVID continues to disrupt our plans. I miss the excitement, the anticipation, the beautiful fashion show and live music, and of course I miss seeing happy couples find their great connections. But we'll be back when it's safe to do so. The month of January is known as the month of wedding planning. There's always several bridal shows and events to bring together wedding professionals and engaged couples. The current guidelines with COVID make it impossible for us to meet in person, but we know that planning continues for so many couples. We are excited to continue to bring you some wedding inspiration and connections to wedding professionals. Today, we share Kathy Bunnell of Bunnell Photography, an amazing local photographer. Kathy was our photographer for the Summitview Photo Shoot. I'm proud to say that I've known Kathy for many years, as she's always been an active participant in our bridal shows and has always supported our efforts to connect with amazing couples. Today she's going to share with you some information about wedding photography, what you should look for, and the things that you should consider when booking your own wedding photographer. Please feel free to reach out to Kathy for your own questions and to check out her website for more information. Here's Kathy.
Hello everybody, my name is Kathy Bunnell from Bunnell Photography. I'm in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and I've been a wedding photographer for about 15 years now, I think. Something like that. I miss seeing all of you at the bridal shows in 2020. This year has just definitely not been the same. It's been a challenge for all of us, and my heart goes out to all the brides who have been affected by this pandemic. But just know that we are ready to celebrate when it is safe and when you are ready, and celebrations may look a little bit different this spring, but we're still here and nothing can stop love. So don't hesitate to keep planning that wedding, and a few simple precautions can make the day of your dreams go by smoothly. One of those precautions that is not pandemic related is choosing a photographer, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. So I hear all the time from my clients that they've never hired a photographer before. They don't really know what they're looking for. And I like to tell them that I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. So I'm happy to help offer some advice on both choosing your photographer and also working with a photographer once you've chosen one. So the number one tip that I can give you is that personality matters when it comes to a photographer. You are going to be spending a lot of time with your wedding photographer. So you need to make sure that there's a good chemistry there. You should really feel understood from your photographer. When you meet with them, you should make sure that you get along, you have a similar vision, a similar style, not just in photography, but also just kind of the way you operate. So if you're a very regimented, list-driven person, you want to make sure that your photographer can work with that. On the other hand, if you're pretty laid back, then an easygoing photographer might be the right choice for you. But either way, you really have to get to know each other, because aside from being a wedding vendor, we are probably the vendor that you're going to spend the most time with that day. We are going to be there when you're getting dressed, when you're ready to walk down the aisle. We're going to be there pinning the guy's boutonnieres if they can't figure it out. And then we're going to be there right into the reception. So you're really spending a lot of time with your photographer. So you want to make sure that you hit it off. And you definitely have to be comfortable with whoever you've chosen. So if you don't have that chemistry with somebody that you've met with, keep looking. Just make sure it's the right choice for you. First step in choosing a photographer beyond chemistry would also be to check their websites and make sure that you're seeing complete weddings from a wedding that looks like yours. So a lot of photographers will practice with stylized shoots, and they're wonderful and amazing and beautiful, but you want to make sure that that photographer can produce those same kind of results at a real wedding. So in a stylized shoot, there's no pressure from the venue coordinator, there's no time limit, there's no late guests messing up the timeline, anything like that. So you have all the time in the world. And you're also dealing typically with models and very well styled environments. So just make sure that you're seeing actual real weddings and you can see what that photographer can do under pressure. You'll definitely want to meet your photographer either in person or virtually. That's really important. And ideally, more than once. So like I mentioned, you are spending a lot of time with us. So you want to make sure that you get along and that you really know each other. Another good way of spending time with your photographer is doing some engagement photos. So this might seem like something that you might not necessarily need, but it really is a good chance to build that relationship with your photographer, also get more comfortable in front of the camera. A lot of us haven't had a chance to pose, especially as a couple, so I think giving a chance to practice some photos with your engagement photos just makes your wedding go a little bit smoother. And also it gives you some pictures that you can display at the wedding or use for save the dates. My next tip for choosing a photographer would be to know what's in your wedding package. So you'll want to read photographers' packages very carefully. We all do things just a little bit different, and it's not necessarily because we're trying to sneak anything by you or anything like that. I should hope not anyways. But it's more like each of us has developed our own sense of what we feel is important to our clients. One consideration would be digital files. So that's a big one. So you have to decide if you want the rights to your files or if you're okay paying for each enlargement after the wedding. Some photographers include finished bridal albums, some don't, some include print credit. So you've really got to go through and compare them that way. A couple things to watch for when you're talking about files for reprints. You want to make sure they are full resolution files with printing rights. So that means that you could take that flash drive or that digital file anywhere you want and make your own enlargements. You'll want to make sure that the files are full size so you can make enlargements instead of just little thumbnail or web images. You'll also want to make sure that they don't have proof or copyright across them or anything like that. And then you'll want to make sure that you have a release. So in my case, I do offer a little flash drive with a very satisfying little box. And that includes the full resolution files with printing rights. So each photographer does things a little bit differently. Some photographers don't include files, and maybe that's totally fine for you. You just have to consider, the cost of enlargements, the cost of the album. Is it built into the package? What are you paying for ultimately? Also consideration is I feel that you want some tangible images after your wedding. So I feel that that's very, very, very important. The digital files are great right away because you can make your own enlargements, but long term, even in 5 years, 10 years from now, this flash drive is probably not going to fit into whatever computers we're using in the future. So already it won't fit into an iPad or something like that. So digital files are great for immediate use, but long term you want to make sure that you're getting some printed photos from your wedding. I like to give this little visual right here, that if I were to show you digital wedding photos from 1985, they would look like this on this floppy disk. Now, none of us can play a floppy disk on our computers, or at least I should hope not. But this picture over here is over 100 years old. It's been printed out, so it'll last forever. I can show you that picture right now, but I can't show you those pictures from 1995 in the digital format. So that's really important. So you need to keep in mind, what are you going to get after the wedding? Are you going to get a whole set of proofs? Are you just going to get the digital files? If you do just get the digital files, it's super, super important to make backups of those files and also order prints. Please order prints. You want to be able to pull out those photos and show that your kids and eventual grandkids someday, or even just reflect every anniversary. In my case, I include a proof album with all of my wedding packages. So again, I feel really strongly that everybody should have hard copy photos of their wedding. So I go ahead and make all of those for you. I print them out as 4x6 and I put them in an album. And all of my clients get this album and this is theirs to keep. But again, we all do things a little bit differently. Some photographers only offer formal bridal albums, and that's great too. It's a great way to highlight your favorite images. But again, just make sure that you know what you're getting in your package and you're okay with that. And then if you do have to order prints after the wedding, that your budget allows for those extra costs. You'll want to find out how much those prints cost, what the deadline is to order them, that kind of thing. Once you've chosen your photographer and hopefully you've done your engagement photos, feel free to stay in touch with us. We do weddings on a normal year anyways, not so much 2020, but on a normal year, we do weddings almost every weekend. So we can be an invaluable resource as far as timelines, suggested, questions that you might want to ask, just running things by us. Is your list of formal photos realistic? that kind of thing. So, I know I speak for myself, but I'm sure other photographers are this way as well. But we love to hear from our clients, and even just kind of like touching base. How's life? Are you looking at houses? Where did you move? What's that new address? Any kind of questions. We're always happy to help our clients, and it just makes that day go by a little smoother because we just know each other a little bit more. And again, it builds that relationship. It gets you guys familiar with us, and vice versa. You'll want to make sure your photographer will be your partner in your wedding. That's really important. Again, you're spending a lot of time with us. So I sometimes joke that I'm like an honorary professional bridesmaid. So I am not wearing those dresses. Your girls look lovely in them, but I don't think I would. But I am there to be your backup and just help you just experience your day a little bit smoother. So if something goes wrong, like the girls can't bustle your dress, I've done hundreds of weddings. I can bustle your dress, no problem. I've had to make boutonnieres before. I've had to transport brides and grooms in my car for various reasons. So if you choose a good photographer, they're going to be there for you, and they're going to be your go-to vendor. You're not hiring us as wedding coordinators, but since we see the same thing every week, then we do tend to be a good resource to just help, and just make your day go by a little smoother. Also, remember your photographer after the wedding. We spent all of this time getting to know each other and building this relationship, and we truly have an affection for each other at the end of the wedding when you pick up your photos, and it's like we played a good part in your wedding. So feel free to stay in touch after the wedding. Most of us do newborn photos and family photos, maybe anniversary shoots, maybe your grandparents' anniversary party, something like that. So once you've taken the time to build the relationship with a photographer, think of us after the wedding too. I hope this helped, and we look forward to celebrating with all of you in 2021 and beyond. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Next up, we talk about lighting, draping, and setting the style for your wedding with Jim Powers of CJC Lighting and Production. Jim and his team can transform spaces, tents, and even unexpected non-wedding locations into beautiful, stylish, creative spaces to host weddings and special events. You'll find a variety of lighting designs, including uplighting, pin spots, textures, and bistro string lighting that can make intimate spaces, plus rental furniture and other design elements to make your event unique. CJC Lighting and Production also offers the much-needed live streaming capabilities for smaller micro-weddings and elopements that allow your guests to witness your day safely without leaving their home. This option lets them feel included on your special day. Here's Jim.
Hello, my name is Jim Powers, and I'm the CEO and Chief Lighting Geek at CJC Lighting and Production. We're a full-service audio-visual company specializing in lighting and decor with offices in West Springfield and Boston, Massachusetts for over 15 years. We provide social event lighting and decor options for tents, outdoor spaces, ballrooms, and unconventional venues. I love taking a big blank canvas like a tent or corporate-looking ballroom and transforming it into a grand space. I really love taking unconventional spaces like libraries, museums, restaurants, barns, and backyards and creating stunning transformations. We use state-of-the-art technology, including combinations of wireless LED fixtures and conventional theatrical lighting, to create the mood and highlight the special elements of your wedding. We can add fabric draping, string lighting, and chandeliers, lounge furniture, and other decor items to finish off the look. We can add dance floor lighting and even a spotlight for your first dance. We'll work with you, your planner, your designer, and the venue staff to bring your vision to life. When we started CJC more than 15 years ago, event lighting options were pretty limited. The fixtures were large, got pretty hot, and you really only had one or two designs that looked good in any given venue. Over the past few years, we've developed techniques to cost-effectively produce stunning looks in any venue. Here are some images of our past work. thanks for taking the time to find out more about CJC Lighting and Production. I'd love to discuss your wedding and show you how we can create a stunning atmosphere your guests will be talking about for years to come. Contact me at the phone number or email below. We'd love to discuss your wedding with you.
In today's final notes, as we wrap up today's segments of the series, we thank all the wedding professionals who participated in the Summitview Banquet House photo shoot, and especially Bunnell Photography for capturing all those details. We remind you to support your local wedding professionals and businesses and invite you to view the Wedding Day Sourcebook website for vendor information and a collection of the past video segments of the series at weddingsourcebook.com. We'll be back next week with more wedding inspiration. For now, be safe, be smart, and mask up. COVID can't stop love.